Hello, adventurers. Welcome back to RPG a Day. We're on day 7 right now. Today, I want to talk about Villains and Vigilantes. It is a game that is near and dear to my heart. It was, to the best of my knowledge, arguably anyway, the first superhero role playing game that reached any kind of mass market. I think there was another one, but it was in very limited release and nowhere near the scope of V&V. V&V, Villains and Vigilantes, was created by Jeff D. and Jack Herman. Um, I don't know that I've ever met Jack, but Jeff is a good friend of mine, and we've had many, many wonderful talks about game design theory and such. But back when I started playing, I was a teenager and comic book fan and just loved the game. Um, it is a very unique kind of thing, especially when viewed through the lens of the current generation of games and how they work. What I mean by that is you roll pretty much everything. So you begin with a core character, and then you have origin for your powers, and you roll powers and abilities. It's the strength and weakness of the game. I really liked the idea of being able to sit down and throw some dice and come out with a hero. It often required a little ingenuity to make the different bits fit well and to excuse them and uh, make sense of them. Um, but that was kind of was at least half the fun part. How come I can change shape and spit fire? Okay, well maybe I turn into a hellhound. I don't know, but that kind of mental gymnastics was very much a part of how the comic book circuitry worked. So I think it fed very well into comic book fans as comic book adventure game players. Um, there were some peculiarities. The first one I agree with and admire almost all of Jeff's work. He's a very talented designer. I have a personal preference against in V&V, at least the original editions, you began with yourself. And the idea was, okay, well, if you were a superpowered character, what would you be? Really fun idea. Um, I have found over the years that the let's play ourselves thing can lead to trouble. Oh, I think I have a 16 intelligence. No, you don't. Um, I think your constitution should be lower than that. Um, I've never liked the process of Tron digitizing yourself and making a character out of who you are. We are enough spinning off fragments of our core personality into the characters we play anyway. That's kind of the way the whole thing works. But to legitimately say, okay, here is Melix Nystall, and he's hit by a comet, and then he gets stretching powers. I the other part of it that I'm not a giant fan of is the immersion bit. I am often personally so much into table games because it's an escape. It's just something else. As a player, then playing myself, even an escapist, fantasized version of myself, it's still me. Um, Personally, I would rather be something else. And as a game master, I would rather the people at the table not be them because that can create all kinds of societal issues, right? Um, but if everyone goes in, we're all on the same page and understanding that, we maybe even using a yellow card rule or something. Like if something starts feeling comfortable, raise your card and we'll back off. Something like that. It's probably okay. Just putting up my warning flag. That's all. The other thing that was, I don't know if it was entirely unique, but certainly unique to the period. was, and the specific way this worked was it used a chart. So in combat, you took whatever your power was, and you lined it up with whatever your opponent's defensive power was, and then it would give you a number, and that would be like a hit number in the old D&D games. So I'm using my fire powers against your plant growth. Well, that's probably got a very favorable, so the to hit is very low. That was not terribly intuitive, other than the logic I had built the chart to make sense. But it was fun. Um, the my copy of that table I had laminated. It was the first game accessory or prop I ever had laminated. And I had, as I printed it in canary yellow, I had that V&V results to hit table. Had that for years, well over a decade. Um, I think it's absolutely worthwhile digging up even the older editions, and rolling up a character as yourself if you roll that way and you're not worried about it. Otherwise, just pick a default, maybe somebody out of a movie, or just describe somebody and go from there. um, V&V has had several revisions and incarnations, updates, and so forth, and all have their own virtues. They can be found. It's not hard to find them. Even the old edition is, I think, now available through drive-through RPGs, so you can buy that and download it. The current expression of Jeff's superhero genius is Mighty Protectors, which is kind of, in a way, V&V squared. Um, I won't speak to that game in this particular chat. Maybe down the road, but it is definitely worth taking a look at on its own merits, because it is definitely its own thing. Um, all right, so V&V, oldest and in many ways the best at what it does. Um, check it out. Have fun.